Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tech It to the Max. I'm your host for today, Adam, and joining me here in the studio is our marketing manager over at IT Desk, Vicky Harper. Welcome, Vicky.
Morning, Adam. You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. How about
Good.
yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm
Lovely. Does it
good.
feel nice to be back after recording your, I think it was your second episode last week?
Yeah, I did record my second episode last week. I was really nervous because I was in your shoes. I was the host. I do much prefer being a guest to a host. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, but it's nice to be back. Thank
Oh,
you.
well, that's lovely to hear. Well, I've got an exciting episode lined up for you today. We're going to be talking all about AI in creativity, specifically marketing, because that's mine and your roles. So, how do you feel about talking about AI? Is that something that you find an interesting conversation?
Yeah, I do. And I am definitely trying to get in front of the curve. AI plays a huge part in our job or my job right now. And I want to try and implement as many changes as possible that are meaningful, not just because it's AI, but I'm really into automation as well at the minute to try and save time so we can become more efficient as a team to get the brand out there and all our ideas out there a lot quicker than what it would take from previously, from the last 9 years, let's say. That's how old I am.
Wow. Well, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful explanation. I couldn't have put it better myself. It's going to be interesting to hear your insights actually, because not that the audience would be aware, but I've only been in marketing for the better part of a year now, so I've still got a lot to learn, and it's going to be interesting to see or hear some insights from a veteran such as yourself.
Oh, thank you.
No worries. So I've got a bit of a fun question lined up for you. First of all,
Okay.
let's just say, for example, I don't know, not a desert island. If you had one AI, one piece of AI that only you could use in marketing, nobody else can use it, what features would that AI have and why?
Oh, good question.
In fact, actually, I'll give you a time to think, because I was thinking about
Okay.
this a lot earlier on.
Yeah.
If I was to have an AI where only I could use it, I think it'd have to be a piece of software that can predict trends,
Oh,
specifically
good.
social media trends. I think that in our line of work, the most frustrating thing that can happen is being late to trends, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
social media. And whilst AI certainly is amazing, it's still not got to the point where it's able to predict what trends are going to happen, when they're going to happen, for how long for,
Mm-hmm.
and what the best ways to capitalize on them are. So I think if we were able to, or if I was able to have just a piece of AI that could predict TikTok algorithms, what's going to be popular when, it would make certainly my life a lot easier. And I know that we would see all of our metrics go through the
Yeah.
roof when we're able to get all of those young Gen Zs
Oh,
loving our videos.
yeah. It, yeah, that's a really good idea. The prediction of trends, because like marketing, some people think it's like black magic. You don't know if it's going to work. You can only go on the research that you've done, and overnight that research can change. And as we're all aware, Google and other softwares change its algorithms all the time, so you're constantly having to adapt and change. So that would be a really, really good tool, and I like how you justified that, Adam. It's
Yeah,
a
I think there are
really
so
good
many
mindset.
systems in place as well, which can be hurdles when you work in within large corporations or businesses. You've got to get them through all of the checks. Like, you've got to make sure that managers are okay with it. If you
Mhm.
work in internally with clients, or sorry, external clients, then
Yeah.
you've got to get that approved. And
Yeah.
if you're able to get a head start
Yeah.
by being aware on what's going to where, like, you can know with absolute certainty,
Yeah.
I think that would just it makes life so much easier.
It would. It
Yeah,
really would. You need to look into that and
absolutely.
patent it. So I've been having a think while you were talking, but also trying to listen to what you were saying. But the first thing that came to my mind was once we've written a blog, excuse me, once we've written a blog, getting that blog into a white paper so it's a little bit in more detail
Oh yeah.
and putting it straight into a template with images that would match what's going off in the blog as well, so that they are relatable. Excuse me, I've got a tickle. So images that would also go into that white paper, and then if it could turn it into a video as well, so that we get all different formats for people that are visual learners, like myself. I'm more of a visual learner than a reader. And then you've got the readable copy, the written copy, And then if we could put it into audio, that'd also be good because I do love a good audiobook. But yeah, if there was something that was out there that did that, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
I think that's actually a really good suggestion on your part, because I would say one word, if I was to sum up marketing, um, in some respects, tedious would be the word that I think of
Yes.
in terms of repurposing content for different formats. And what you've just suggested there sounds like it could solve all of those problems, because you would be able to just do it at the snap of your fingers using
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah, and if it could do it on the template that we designed so that it was all branded up, so we did all the creative part of it, the design element of it, let's say, and then we had placeholders for the images to go in and it automatically did that, automatically extended the content that you'd written from the H1 tags on the blogs right through to the to the video at the end. That'd yeah, be
Absolutely.
so
Well,
good.
that definitely sounds like it is within reason. I mean, you see all of these new AI software which is able to be trained on style guides for businesses. So I appreciate, and I think it's amazing what you're saying, how if it was able to adapt the content to each individual business, then that would just be amazing.
It would. Maybe we need to look into that as well.
Absolutely. Maybe we just
Pop
need
it on
to.
to do.
All right, so moving back to reality, I want to take a look at some of the pieces of software that we use in our day-to-day roles as marketers here at IT Desk. I think when it comes to AI and creativity holds connotations to the more artistic
Yeah.
software, which is why I think it'd be a good place to start with Canva. Now, Canva's AI functionality for me is humbling, if nothing else. I wouldn't consider myself to be very artistic, but when I'm using Canva, that just doesn't even matter. It just gets thrown out of the window because of the magic recommendations specifically.
Mhm.
So naturally, within my role as social media manager, I need to create a lot of templates and illustrations, graphic designs for our content that we put out there. And sometimes I struggle to think of, okay, what images or what graphics could go within this template. However, when I type in certain keywords with the magic recommendations search bar, it can generate an entire list of images that Canva associates with those keywords using AI, which I
Okay.
just think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like me and you have to create several within a day.
Yeah.
Your mind gets fried by the end of
It
it.
does.
And so if I'm able to just do it that easily, it's just so
Yeah.
useful,
I
honestly.
used I used to struggle with it when you get creative block after you've been doing it for so long and you think, "Oh, what can I do now? How can this help? Is there anything out there that can give me an idea of what I could do?" I totally understand where you're going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's amazing in every sense of the word. And I think you were talking to me earlier actually about Adobe
Yeah,
and
yeah.
AI. If you want to sort of
Yeah.
elaborate on that a bit.
I were gonna say, so we've got you've not used those tools yet, just because you're still learning in that sense. But yeah, we use the Adobe suite. So we've got Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, everything that you would expect a marketing team to have, really. But within Photoshop, we utilize the generative AI tool in there. I can never say it right, so I'm really pleased that I said it right then.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. And we use that for all sorts of stuff throughout our marketing work. From taking headshots of people and then applying a background. So we can add a corporate background, so it's all the same across all the board for all the members of staff. So that it's all the same. We could also create fun images if we wanted them to be in a particular place. So if we were attending an event, we could have the event image behind them and then put the person up in front of it so that it looked realistic and create things like that. You've also got the expansion on that. So when we've taken a photograph at, for example, at an event or out wherever we might be. So we did somewhat on a golf course when we sponsored a golf day for the Rotherham and Barnsley Chamber of Commerce, and there were a really good photograph, but we just wanted to expand it a little bit more so that we'd got a bit more greenery in there. So we clipped it, dragged it along, and see, I told you I couldn't say it. I said it once, couldn't say it again. The generative AI tool looked at what was in that photograph, and we typed in that we wanted some more trees and greenery, and it automatically did it as if it was there. So that's working. That is really, really working really well.
Wow.
Yeah, honestly, the what it creates, you have to obviously type the things in what you're wanting it to do.
Yeah.
So you have to give it a little bit of your ideas, so you're still not losing that full creativeness. But yeah, it really, really helps.
I think it's really interesting what you just said there, but to me, it's always something to be concerned about, and I see it as more of a double-edged sword. I think that there are so many negative applications that cyber criminals could utilize when it comes to AI and generative AI
Yeah.
within Adobe, as you say.
Yeah, it is scary. It's just you just need to be using it correctly within the business. And then yeah, you see it all over news. The cyber criminals are gonna, if they want to do something bad or that's inappropriate, they're gonna do it, whether it's on Photoshop or another piece of software. With there's the whole Donald Trump videos going around. Things like this have been out there for years. It's just a lot quicker at doing it now.
Yeah, I think with this, there's always going to need to be those countermeasures in place. All of that legislation needs to always follow it up
Hmm.
to make sure that
Yeah.
we are able to curve that impact that we get from those cyber criminals. So another piece of amazing software that I want to touch on is Grammarly. Now, to
Hmm.
me, when it comes to content creation, Grammarly is like breathing. It's something that I don't think I fully appreciate. It's there like when I'm using it, just because it's so well integrated into my
Yeah.
day-to-day activity.
Hmm.
But my God, I would be not lost without it, because that makes me look bad, but it certainly would
No.
have an impact on my work, in terms of I'd have to think a lot more, whereas it really alleviates a lot of the stress. Now, for people that are unaware of what Grammarly is, it's an amazing piece of software which analyzes and reads through all of the written content that you create, and it looks for all those spag errors within your content, such as punctuation that you might be misusing,
Yeah.
missing or misspelled words,
Yeah.
or just the general structure of sentences. It helps correct it to be the best form of content that it can be. I mean, there are free versions and the pro version, but
Yeah.
I use the pro version because I just love it so much.
When I first started, it was one of the first things that I implemented were Grammarly, the free version, and that was over 9 years ago now. And that's because I'm dyslexic. I'm not ashamed of it, but it really helped me help myself with words and how I would communicate. And it was one of the first things that did really help me, because I'd never worked in an environment like this before, where copy was going out constantly. I'd got nobody to check it, whereas in my old role I'd got people to check things like that. So Grammarly became my checker.
Absolutely. I think it's only natural that when you're working at such a fast pace like we do in marketing, it's only natural that things fall through the cracks, you know.
Yeah.
And Grammarly's help to just catch them in a net. It makes
Yeah.
sure that every piece of content that goes out is to the best standard it can be without any issues. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate with Grammarly that it's not just a case of putting the occasional comma in. It's so much more
No.
than that. Especially with a pro plan, it can rewrite sentences.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's back in the day when, because I'm old.
Oh God, is this
I
going to be an
know.
old person story
This
now?
is going to be an old person story. Tangent alert. There was something called Clippy
Right.
in
Okay.
Word and Excel. And we had, for everybody that's watching, this is Clippy. And he used to pop up when you were writing in Word way back when at school in the 90s and noughties. And he would say, I can see you writing a letter. Would you like any help there? And he would align the margins so that your address were in the right place. He'd start the letter with Dear Mum and Dad, or whoever you were trying to write to in your English lessons or your IT lessons as well. And he would be that little assistant, like the Ask Jeeves back in the day. But yeah, Clippy was the first version of Grammarly from what I remember, and it got me through some sticky points as well.
Wow, that's really.
Honestly.
I mean, that's showing my age. I feel like a baby now. I don't even think I was a thought in my parents' mind when Clippy was around, from the
Yeah.
sounds of it. The original Grammarly.
The original Grammarly, and it had elements of Copilot as well in there. So it would you could, again with Grammarly, it would give you ideas on what to put or where to finish or how to finish the message off, and you'd got different options that had come up. So
Wow.
it'd say yours sincerely or love from. And you just click on them and it'd put it in for you.
Wow.
I
Why did we
know.
ever get rid of not Grammarly, Clippy?
Clip it. I don't know. I don't know where he went. I honestly don't know where he went. It did used to be annoying though if you were in the middle of doing something and it'd take your mind off it because it would keep popping up and you're like,
Oh,
go
really?
away. Yeah, it was a little bit too much like a pop-up window that'd drive you mad.
Bless. Well, I'm sure he always has a special place in your heart,
He
though, as a
does.
marketer.
He does, Mr.
Oh,
Clippy.
bless him. So, Vicky,
Yes,
as
Adam.
marketers, SEO, search engine optimization, is
Yeah.
the bread and butter of what we do.
Yeah.
There's not any piece of content for the most part that we put out there where we don't consider SEO. And I think that it only makes sense that we talk about how AI is integrated into the different SEO tools that we use here at IT Desk. I mean, I think I saw a stat where it was like 70% of marketers use AI within their marketing strategies, which I can only assume is primarily SEO related
Yeah.
stuff. One of the SEO tools in particular that I love when it comes to the AI integration is SEMrush,
Yep.
because there are so many different functionalities
There is.
with AI and SEO for SEMrush. In particular, the one that I'm thinking of is when I'm carrying out keyword research. There's the thing called I might be getting this wrong actually. I think it's called like the magic keyword search,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. Which basically, to my knowledge, it uses its complex algorithmic thinking to generate a list of AI that it deems or it recognizes as
Yeah.
associated with any keywords that you input.
It does. Sorry, I have definitely got a frog in my throat. I don't
Don't
know what
worry.
it is. Yeah, the magic tool for the magic keyword tool that is built into SEMrush is for me next generation. It takes a lot of legwork out of what I used to have to do manually.
Yeah, absolutely. I
It
mean,
honestly,
I
it's
really,
so good.
I think one of the weaker elements of marketing for me is the research element. It can
Yeah,
be really, really tedious,
yeah,
and this just takes a lot of that strain away. Which
it does.
you do a lot of SEO work
Yeah,
for us here at IT Desk, so I'm sure, in particular for you, it's
yeah.
amazing.
It helps with the guesswork as well. So not only does it give you you put in the ideas, you put in what you want to get out of it, what you think your customer is looking for, and then it expands it. So it literally you can do a brain dump in there, but then it would take and organize that brain. So all your keywords that you're thinking of, it will then go off and write you and do a cloud. So or a mind map of that particular keyword, but examples of where it would be used, and it would also give you questions that people are actually physically writing into Google. Not only that, it tells you how many searches a month, it tells you how hard that keyword is going to be to rank for. You can see what other competitors and who else is using that word. So whether you think your content's going to be as strong as theirs, it will give you all that information. And then one step further, it can write that content for you in the AI creative keyword tool. So it writes physically can write the blogs for you. I don't trust it as much as I would like to just yet because there are some elements where it does reference other people and other people's blogs. Excuse me. So it does do that. So what I tend to do is take that information out of it and then pass it to you and say, Adam, here's a piece of copy that is really good. It's got some information in there. We need to concentrate on these keywords. Can you read this and have a rewrite of it? And that's where that all stems from. Whereas that would you used to take hours, weeks sometimes, looking at what keywords were out there, what particular keywords wanted to rank for, going then and looking at other people's websites, seeing what they'd got in there. Or it were just a minefield. And yeah, that tool is one of the best creative tools for me to be able to do my job.
See, it's always interesting when you compare somebody who's experienced the life of marketing without AI compared to me, who's a
I
baby in
know.
marketing, and I've not known life without it.
Yeah, honestly, it's just marvelous. And I know I sound so old, but it is so good. It just speeds everything up. And for for where we've come from in the last 18 months to the next 18 months of AI and what's coming out is just gonna it's just gonna change the whole the whole, not just our business and not just our department, but the way businesses approach things. And no, I don't think it's going to get rid of people's jobs. I think it's only going to enhance people's working. And I'm generally a glass half empty person, and I did worry at first, and I was like, no, it just enhances everything that I can do, and it makes us more efficient, and it gives us more time to concentrate on the things that we want to really be creative with, that only we can do, and not a robot and not AI.
How many years do you think we've got before AI reaches the level of human intelligence for marketing?
I think it's nearly there, to be fair.
Do you think we've
Yeah.
not got long left?
Well, for me, that I struggle with words, so I'm not going to lie. Like I said earlier, I've got dyslexia, and I really struggle with copy and email, writing an email without it sounding rude, because I'm not very good at that communication level, and I might come across a little bit cold. So another bit of software I use is Copilot to help me out with that. Excuse me, sorry. So another bit of software I use to help me out with that is Copilot. So between all the AI products, it helps anybody, or especially people with dyslexia and people that struggle to put things together. It really does help them. So for my brain and for me, I think it's nearly there. There are the softer touches that I do like to use, and don't want it to sound like a robot's written it. And there is elements of that where it sometimes it doesn't quite read what I'm wanting to say, so I can change it, but it also can read it back to me, because again, I struggle if it's a big word, I spell phonetically, and yeah, it's nearly there for me. In answer to your question, without me going off on a massive tangent about how I feel about it, and we
No,
get we get a load of really bad press.
no, don't worry about it. I mean, I also use Copilot all the time. I would go as far as to say, it's almost worth having its own monitor.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I have three monitors at work, and almost all of the time, one of those monitors is occupied by Copilot, just because of how much I use it.
Yeah. The how we use Copilot in the business though is different to how some people use Copilots within their businesses. So just to expand on that, we use Copilot in-house within our tenancy. So not only does Copilot help us with the emails and putting content together, but it also helps and works within our data. So we can't be scared of having data breaches. So if we were to put a copy of something onto ChatGTP that we wanted to help us with a response for, or a PowerPoint presentation, for example, if we put that into chat, that'd be out there in the ether, and everybody can have access to that. Whereas if we use Copilot to help us put the presentation together, if we've got some stats and some data in there that we just want to keep in house, Copilot will do that and keep it secure without a risk of anybody else getting their hands on it. Hence why Ben's put all of the training platforms in, and making sure that we're all using it in the right way. So yeah, that's the other side to it. My favorite thing about Copilot though, and definitely having its own screen, is in our team meetings. When we're on a Teams call and we're in a meeting, and I know this has been said before on other podcasts, and I promise you we're not getting sponsorship or paid for this.
Well, if it's been said before, then that only goes to show how good it is if we're constantly
Yeah.
bringing it up.
Honestly, the whole minute taking from meetings and sitting in the MRMs, and it's there transcribing everything that we're doing and giving us back all the points that everybody needs to do. You can ask it to summarize the meeting as a whole. So if people have missed it, not only have they got the recording, but if it's a couple of hours long or a full day, some managers haven't got time to sit and watch the full day, so they can ask it to write a transcription. They can read it in their own time or summarize it, and also give them minutes and notes to what they have to do and to do's from that, which again I think is absolutely fantastic. Then you're not having to think, oh right, we're going to do that. Oh, that's not on mine. That's on Steve's list of to dos. He's going to look into that. It is just that element. If you've only got to switch one part of it on and you're scared and worried about it, 100% stick that on. That is the first thing that I do when I send out a meeting invite. Make sure that I've got Copilot turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there, yeah, there's just so much. There's just so much. My brain's going overtime now about Copilot. Sorry, guys.
So, whilst we're actually on the topic of SEO, something that I think is a really interesting topic, which I want to ask you about to see what your thoughts are, is do you think that appearing as a source in AI searches could be the next step when it comes to SEO? I think we are going to get to the point where people might not even tend to use your standard
Yeah,
search engines like Google,
yeah,
or if they do, they're going to be so well integrated into AI that the
yeah.
distinction is going to be hard to it's going to be hard to tell.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a chat person first. I go
Well,
to chat rather than
exactly.
Google. That's literally I go to chat and ask chat the question that I would use to ask Google.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it'd be interesting to see how how that's going to affect SEO when it comes to searching and getting results for
Yeah,
businesses.
we've seen it already. So with a piece of software that we use called Clarity, I've mentioned this again before in another podcast. I feel like I'm just constantly talking about this again. So I am sorry, but within Clarity, which for people that don't know what Clarity is, it's a heat mapping tool that you can put code into your website and it tracks where people have come from. It tracks how long they've been on your website. It tracks the buttons that they've clicked. It shows you where people fall off. So if you need to do amendments to your website, it's really easy. But one of the most fascinating things is it tells you where people have come from, what the referrer is. So we're getting on Dynamics Fanatics, we're getting chat referencing Dynamics Fanatics to whatever queries people are searching, and they're clicking on our website from chat. That
It's
just mind blowing.
it is amazing, isn't it? How
Yeah,
I think that's the one of the secondary effects. Like it's not something that you immediately thought was going to come, but
no,
it's like a side effect
yeah,
almost,
yeah,
which obviously in our case it positively it positively affects us.
yeah.
We could get leads from that.
Yeah, it is just so, so good. So that is something else that people need to look out for and do within their
I'm sure
marketing.
going forward there's going to be a revolution in
Yeah.
terms of people finding ways to market themselves using using AI search results.
It's the same when you're at home and you've got those devices in your kitchen, and I'm not going to say the name because it might set a load off, but you talk to those and they reference things that they found on the internet. So it's only like being referenced elsewhere because chat and Copilot are the next generations of those just in typed
I
format.
mean, that is one of the things that you look out for most, or you want most as a marketer, is to be seen as an authoritative source,
Yeah,
as a thought leader in the industry.
yeah,
Outside of gaining leads, you want to be seen as credible.
yeah,
And if you're being used within AI sources,
yeah.
it shows that there's something
Something.
there's something to be
Yeah,
said there, isn't there?
there is 100%.
Okay, so now that we've spoken a bit about Copilot, I just wanted to ask you how you differentiate between Copilot and ChatGPT. And for those of you who heard Vicky's little mistake earlier, it is ChatGPT, not ChatGTP.
Thanks for that, Adam.
Don't worry, you can just call it Chat going forward. I think
Yeah, I think
I didn't want to interrupt the flow going because
I
you
appreciate that.
you were so well articulating yourself earlier. I was like, I'll let this one slide.
Thank you. No, I'm yeah, I get it wrong all the time, so I'm just going to refer to it as chat. So the main difference was originally we didn't have Copilot; it wasn't a thing when we first started using chat, or if it was a thing, we'd not implemented it or looked into it as much as we have now.
Mm.
We didn't invest much time or invest as much time into it. So back when chat first came out and we started using it within the business, it would help with copy, so it would help with socials. Again, if I had a bit of a brain dump moment and I'd want to put all my ideas there, it'd help me structure the ideas. So it would take the ideas that I'd got, write some social media content, and write a blog that then I could enhance and change and tweak, which were really, really good. And again, that became a great time saver. It would help me write our website code. So our old website was written within WordPress, but it didn't have a nice overlay as a skin or anywhere that you could drag and drop and put things in easily because I didn't build it. So that was a new thing that I had to learn. So chat helped me write the code. So if we needed to change something within that code, I would help that'd write it for me, and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. So that's the main difference. If anything that we want to use and research outside of the tenancy that is not data protected, we'd use chat. And anything in-house that we wanted Copilot to start learning about and that was data protected, we'd use Copilot in-house. So that's the main difference. I do tend to lean towards chat just because that's learnt so much about me, or learnt how I like to write and my writing style, because it has evolved so much. So yeah, that's one of the biggies. And within chat now, there are different topics and conversations that you can have with particular AIs. So I don't really know what they're called. I can never remember. So basically at the top you can do a drop down and you've got all your different chats, but then you've also got different bloggers or different writers or different people's content or their AI that they've built within chat. So for example, I utilize somebody that is quite famous with Google Ads, and I ask, is bot or is it AI, lots of questions, and then you know that is right, and it's particularly and it's written for that purpose, basically is what I'm saying. So I'd struggled because Google had a facelift and the ad side of it, so I asked it where these settings had moved to, and straight away it found it. I also wanted to change a particular campaign and do a different ad set and a different ad group, and I needed to know how to do that the fastest without creating any issues with turning the campaign off or pausing it, or I didn't want Google to forget its algorithm. What's the best way of doing that? So you're talking to a professional there, because he's put all that information in, or their company has, that you've just got access to at your fingertips. So that is perfect, and that's one of the main differences for me. I use it as a research tool.
Right. Well, Vicky, thank you so much for giving up your time to come on and be our guest for this week's episode, and thank you for everyone tuning in for this episode. We always love it when you guys engage with our content on TikTok or YouTube. So thanks again.
No problem. And if anybody's got any questions or anything they want any advice on, whether it be about marketing or any tech guides or any tech tips that they might want, just pop it in comments below
Absolutely.
or above or outside.
Well, well, I look forward to the next time that me and you are able to collaborate on a podcast, Vicky.
Me too. Thank you ever so much for having me, Adam.
No
Today.
worries.
It's been great.
Thank you, and thank you for all you tuning in. See you later.